Hey there, YouTube. WhiskeyCactus here, welcoming you back to our Let's Play of The Letter. This is episode number 21. In the last episode, we finished up Marianne's arc, and ended up with Marianne in a cell, trapped in a dungeon, in a labyrinth down beneath the mansion. Which, believe it or not, appears to be the correct good ending for Marianne. At least as far as we're concerned at the moment. I'm sure there's, like I said, I still think there's going to be a thing at the end where everybody... Because that can't be the ending for all those characters. There has to be, like, a final thing that happens. I'm wondering if that's going to wind up being in Luke's story, because Luke is the last character that we work with. But we did go down that path. We got Marianne stuck in a cell in a labyrinth. But then we also went down the other path and wound up getting her with her throat slashed with a glass shard. So I'm pretty sure trapped in the cell is the correct answer. And now we are on Rebecca's chapter. We just started Rebecca's chapter. This is the very first thing in Rebecca's chapter. We went into Rebecca's profile at the end of the last episode, so if you missed that, go ahead and go check that out. But we are going to continue on now as Rebecca, and hopefully learn a little bit more about our feisty redhead here. This is how it begins, or so they say. With a gentle wind drifting through wide-open windows, muffled laughters, and footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and the light kiss of the afternoon sun. Are you sure you're a history teacher? Because you sound like an English professor. Soon there will be a call. Crossing of thresholds into the unknown. You damn right. Maybe we are off to some grand adventure, or diving into another gripping mystery. Yeah, we're all of those things. One can't really tell. For all I know, a hero might even come sweep me off my feet if I'm lucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
Indeed. I know what hero she wants. But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. You. Oh, far from a riveting tale. Just you fucking wait. Alright. The mild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue. They are all as real as they can get. So what are our standings with various characters? We haven't really done much with Rebecca other than mildly damage Isabella and Ashton, just mildly. But I'm sure in this week we will be able to beef them up at some point. Alright. As much as I want to write a little tale out of this, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what these are, merely passing thoughts to occupy an idle mind while waiting for another busy workday to end. Then again, maybe in another life, I am one, who knows? But at present, what I have and what I've chosen to be, well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Indeed. Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. If I weren't so stubborn and too passionate about the whole idea, I probably would have quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? You and I have very different outlooks on life, Rebecca. Kids make it... The kids are the problem. The kids are the reason not to do it. As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into a neat circle against the papers I'm grading, the final bell rings. So she just gave someone a 0. Is that what I get out of that? Like a dam that has opened, students begin piling out into the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears, let my mind wander to a place far removed from all the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between lately. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as I usually prefer. Although in hindsight, the entire place hasn't been the same either since Isabella moved next door. If her fussing over a minor cold last week tells anything, I might as well throw any idea of solitude out the nearest balcony so long as she lives nearby. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over to the bottle sitting at the edge of my desk. Oh yeah, she's sick, right? Yeah. A chuckle escapes from me as I reach for it.
A little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother Hen, she calls me, and then says and does the same thing right after. It's not that I'm unused to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. If I'm to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute and then act like a responsible adult the next. But there's a dissonance there, both in her actions and words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer, one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed down on her lately. Her face says it all. That big numpty. She thinks I won't notice she's got another thing coming for her. That's how she's always been. I do understand that part loud and clear, it's just that I'd really rather not pass on another burden onto her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be the one taking care of them? I guess that's simply one of those things people eventually grow away from, once you've all started leading different lives. ... Not completely different, I hope. Somehow that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before stranger ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my bag, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. A small frown forms on my lips when the screen lights up and an unknown number flashes. Uh-oh. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. Even the voice that responds, once I do accept the call, is wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Oh, goodness. Finally, it connects. Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales?
Yes?
Yes, Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper.
Okay.
Briar Realty Corporation.
Briar Realty?
Interesting. Oh, right. We knew that Rose called her. I don't remember why, but we knew that happened. My frown deepens as I straighten from my chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't quite sit well with me. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that has suddenly descended, either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and...
The Armengard Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
This is about Isabella, actually.
Oh dear. She wastes no time relaying everything. Is this when she, hit her head or something? The details she provided are admittedly a bit vague, but enough for me to get a gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, though still worrying. Especially with words panic attack and pale looking a bit sickly woven together in one foreboding sentence. As quickly as it surfaces, I stomp down on the urge to demand answers right there and then. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. Find out soon enough, regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her. Ha ha ha, for a couple more days. Though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she just said a bunch of excuses so she won't get sent home? Pretty big. High. Very high. ... Oh, she is so going to hear it this time.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest.
Indeed.
Anthem's a fair distance from Luxbourne. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends.
Uh-huh.
I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
It's okay, I'll just send Ashton to do it.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
A faint hum of conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'll expect from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxbourne's outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive away from the comforts of a city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about this sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant refusing my offer of help before, I think I do now. To some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going.
Indeed.
Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. It can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright? I shouldn't be too hard to miss.
Yeah, I have green hair. You know, like you do.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on an abruptly pleasant... where the fuck did I pull that from? The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant tone. If only the same can be said for the news she brought. I allow a brief minute to pass to ease whatever tension has latched itself firmly to my nerves. But no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of it grimmer than the other, growing with each passing second I linger. Something about this whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams, off. Wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I'd hoped to step into today. Alright, well it is October 21st, Friday. So that was, yeah, back here. This is when, right, the open house, the letter, all that stuff. And it ends, does this end with us going to the movie? Yeah, it does, okay. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby room, melodies from a rehearsing band drift freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk and sure as I march to Edward Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabella's okay, the sooner I can shake off this niggling feeling. For one reason or another, that single call of all possible things has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. I have a feeling. Is it gonna be a little girl with blue hair? But perhaps it's really the other way around. Yes, it is! Oh god. This... I have absolutely zero trust that this is a normal kid. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Creepy children in horror games. When I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice? And at my attention, a grin spreads over her face. Buenas tardes, Miss Pink. Not speaking, okay.
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink. What up? Where's the voice acting? Come on! She loosens her hold on me. Not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, alright? You could get hurt.
There we go.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
There we go. There's Brittany Lauda's voice.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long.
Damn Rowan.
But he promised to buy me jelly babies today. If I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head, both hands going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out. So, her brother, Rowan, was friends with the kids that found the letter in that video that Marianne saw in the dungeon. Because they mentioned Rowan. They mentioned the Suarez kid, which I originally said I wondered if it was her, but then I remembered she had the older brother, so... It's probably him. Which means he might be cursed also. That's interesting. I'm wondering. I'm wondering. There's got to be some lore back here. I'm sure we're going to find it. I'm especially interested in the Ashton chapter, because I feel like there's got to be a lot of stuff there.
I made a promise. She said it's for Tia Luke.
Right, she is the godchild of Hannah Wright.
Oh, something like a gift?
Look at Tia. Tia promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Okay, how is he gonna do that? By doing something reckless and dangerous? Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is, a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. Oh, you don't even fucking know. But if both Suarez kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, yes? Maybe. At any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
Except that she's devil spawn.
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Oh god, is it gonna be children's drawings in horror movies and stuff? Never a good thing. It's gonna be something horrendously creepy.
Is that why you're here?
Pardon me.
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh, oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Oh, she's so sad. Face falls immediately after the words are out. Small part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look. You should feel entirely responsible for that crestfallen look. But as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be at right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who is that? It's another
Who?
student?
My friend.
Oh, no. No, wait a minute. Hold on. I know exactly where this is going. The friend, your invisible friend, right? Your invisible friend? Your make-believe friend that you talk to sometimes? And who answers back? And is totally the fucking ghost? Oh, I don't like this. I do not like this. Oh god, this is bad. This is bad news. Maybe it's just another student. Maybe it's just another student. It's just another student.
She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast.
Well, with a name like Takako, I'm sure she's Japanese.
But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore.
'Cause she's dead?
Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shot.
Guys. It's the ghost. It's the ghost. It's definitely the ghost. It's definitely the ghost. And she sees her, and nobody else does, and she talks to the ghost, and the ghost talks back, and I don't like this.
They could be good friends too! Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
No, I don't.
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
Don't do that.
That's what I think.
I disagree.
Takako's just lonely.
Oh,
if she needs
no.
more friends, she won't be anymore.
Oh, no, this is so wrong. No friends for Takako.
Is your friend like that too?
Yeah, kinda.
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
All this time you spent talking to this kid, you could have just seen her picture and made her happy. After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile even when things have taken a turn for the worse. 5 years and one will think it's enough time to know a person, but when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter, or even when things are rough or tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
That drawing is going to be intensely terrifying, I guarantee. Because it's going to be a drawing of Takako, I bet. Making friends with somebody. With lots of red, I'm sure.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, alright?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I'll say hi to her, but you'll be seeing her very soon.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you.
No!
See you, Miss Pink.
No, I do not want to meet her.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling
Stop
down,
it.
falling down.
Stop
falling
it.
Down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. Okay, so it's okay. She's not gonna keep singing. Alright. Oh. I think I'm dead on. I think dead on. Here we go. Rebecca Gales received a phone call from Rose Cooper after class asking her to pick up Isabella Santos from the Ermengarde mansion on her way out of school. An excited Kylie Suarez stops her favorite teacher from the way. Okay. And nuzzles her ample bosom. Alright. I 100% am convinced that that is correct. With a song and an extra spring in her step, she bounds across the corridor with as much spirit only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind a door, leaving behind strains of an old familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden. Untroubled moments like this, I envy her. As I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxbourne may be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush-hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves much more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief, considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Either the reception's really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out on the busy streets. Excuse me. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. Well, here we are. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Now, there can't possibly be anything going on here ghost-wise, because unless Becca's just in super denial about the stuff that Isabella tells her, because she doesn't believe anything about the ghost for a while. Unlike Luxbourne, the state of the nearby Anslem village stands as its complete opposite. Living and breathing, the songs of the old whispers of a once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people.
Uh-huh. Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out. Though some still linger, it's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. Pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of that familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads. Now, I'm pretty sure Isabella left with Ashton, didn't she?
No sign of her.
I'm trying to remember back to the Isabella arc. No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper, either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big. I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we Need to meet with Zachary and Ashton tonight. Well, maybe we shouldn't go wandering. Who knows what scary shit we will find. Hello. Calling Isabella Santos. Again, sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the county has never been popular with the tech-savvy, after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. The 4th one, right as it's about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. ... Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up, the ringing going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and an eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they are ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't get to stray far into that ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later. That was more than a second. A click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and...
Well, shit! This must be while she... I don't remember. What is this part?
Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. I'm trying to remember the opposite of this from Isabella's side. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman. From beyond the foyer. Let's not go seek them out, please. My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one here hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around checking things out, but no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella?
I think it might be Kylie's friend.
Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious towards the door on the other end of the room. Is it the wine cellar, or is it the study? While I'm far from someone who readily gives in to fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me. Despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Fuck me. Fuck me. Oh, God. Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second. Then, with a caution, I reach for the knob. Maybe don't. It's not going to be the ghost. It's too early to be the ghost. It's definitely going to be Rose or somebody. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me, ma'am?
Marianne.
Oh,
Rose, okay.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
Hello, Rose.
No, it's a...
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
For now.
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
That must be it.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Well, you found her. Recognition flashes in her eyes and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know, that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the ladder right now, you don't say.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Indeed it is.
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listen.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
That sounds like Hannah to me. Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads across her face. That really fake one. A smile still, friendly even, but it's the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
one. That
I'll
exact
be there in
one.
a few.
That exact smile. It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. Suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Please don't leave me alone.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes.
Great.
Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
Great.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over the small group gathered at the entrance. Well, look at those people. Look at all these fine people. A couple or siblings. And another woman, probably their secretary. Kinda. Not really. There we go. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. Really, though? All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. Who are you looking at? But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them, all while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment. A fleeting shift of my eye.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And then the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What is happening? Why does he have black mist around him? We did see that before. When did we see that? We saw that in... was it Zachary's arc? I think it was Zachary's chapter. When he knocked on the door and Luke came out like real early in the morning and he had that black mist around him too. What is going on here?
Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming. Hovering over his shoulders. Drawn to him like a moth to a flame. A dark blur. No. A shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Heather, love, she's busy.
What a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
As I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. Sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is. All except for the whispers and laughters. Judging. Mocking. Taunting. Muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, bind tightening with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes. Till suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
Well, okay then. That's fine. It's totally fine. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with any of that. Okay. His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look to them again, it's gone.
You can head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds, only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes. The usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it. And even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to... hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
Like your hair?
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. Of course, blame it on the weather. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was and still am a little feverish when she visited me at the school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function. I did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. Simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. If this doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. But as we find out, she's not there because she left with Ashton already. ... Alright, well. What up? Journal entry time. While waiting at the mansion, Rebecca overheard a brief conversation between the right couple, their interior designer, and real estate agent Rose Cooper. It was discovered afterwards that Isabella had already left a few hours ago. So there we go. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxburn she frequents, and, well, she's never been the complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that?
Somebody who likes Ashton.
Oh, sod off! You don't know the road.
Oh, woman after my own heart. Screaming at traffic. In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxburn, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but eventually I spot them near the entrance. There they are, thanks to Zachary mostly. Like I've surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness.
Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face.
How are you? Are you alright?
Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my questions, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. Last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teach you something about a person, if anything, has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away, yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She touches my hand. When I reach for the back of her head, intending to check said injury myself, she makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing, like none of us can be bothered to act like the full-grown adults we're all supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone. In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. It's because he likes Isabella and not you, Becca. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this. Just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand stills mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course! Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put after that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yeah, good. Yet try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his word means more than they should. We're the childhood friend. Never gonna happen, Becca. Every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
Ooh.
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty, so many things I can use reason to get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip on myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something?
Uh-huh.
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
Not at all. A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. ... Starts out quietly and without fanfare amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. Oh dear. And our lives will never be the same. Although, interestingly enough, we heard the ghost before even seeing the letter. So, that's kind of weird. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. Yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me the time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates. Sorry about that. Grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Well, at least she knows. At least she knows she's being kind of a nagging bitch. That actually makes me feel a lot better. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
I guess he's not gonna say half of that line. Okay.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
That face, though.
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Alright. Well, I think we're getting close to watching the movie. Let's get through this scene before we end off the episode. Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right in our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her, when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, Soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue, ready. But before I can open my mouth and let all of it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look to him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
Yes, indeed. To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please?
As careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give. Yet, here he is, trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it. But at the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, and his expression back to its usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the strings of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. When she looks up, her answer is also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile. Though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run and to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I wouldn't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us. Less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl. And watching the opposite play out right now, somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
Alright, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems to simply fall back into a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll... Let's just go.
Make no effort in keeping the bitterness from my tone. Let it seep. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I've often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope that the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and save. We will end the episode off here, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. How are you enjoying the series? Are you excited for the rest of Rebecca's arc? Are you excited for the Ashton and Luke arcs that are coming up after this? All that good stuff. And also make sure you're subscribed for more content, more of the letter, and more of the other games I choose to play on this channel. So thank you for watching. Next time, we will continue on as Rebecca into, I guess, technically some uncharted waters, because we don't really know what's been happening with Rebecca between now and the party. I don't think. We really haven't seen much. So it'll be interesting to fill in those gaps. So I hope you're hyped. I know I am. I will see you next time. Goodbye.